And now some words from our sponsor. Flap, pustule, jowls, nugget, gurgle, smear, curd, bulbous, tender, dongle, pork, moist. Whether you're a construction worker, warehouse worker, or frankly a radio host, if you hear certain words on the job site, work can be uncomfortable. So at least get work gear that's comfortable. Timberland Pro work shirts, pants, and boots. Head to toe. Timberland Pro, not uncomfortable.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Carl Tart.
I'm Jackie's Neal.
And I'm Edgar Mopes here.
And we are the host of a new show called Culture Kings on How Stuff Works. We cover a whole range of topics on this show, but one of the things that we talk about the most is sports because we love them. Jackie, what's the sports opinion you have?
The Cubs are the best team of all time.
That's ridiculous. Edgar?
Kevin Durant is the greatest player of all time.
Nonsense. My favorite basketball player is LeBron James. He's the king of the world, and we'll get into that on Culture Kings. Download it wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere. Just listen to it, damn it.
Again, Giancarlo Stanton struck out 5 times in a game. That never happened while he was here, right?
I don't know.
In the first couple of weeks in New York, did he go 0 for 7 with 5 strikeouts?
I believe so, yeah.
So did they win? Is he getting a ton of at-bats?
They lost. No,
he got
lost.
7 at-bats and they lost?
Yep, they lost 8-7. He was indeed 0 for 7 with 5 strikeouts, average at 167.
This is what he does, though. Like, everyone's freaking out. This is him. Like, I haven't seen the strikeouts. I can tell you at least 3 of them was just junk, low and outside. This is what he does. And by the way, he's gonna figure it out, and he's gonna hit over 50 home runs, and he's gonna be getting curtain calls. Everyone's just freaking out for nothing. This is him. No one's watched him for 7 years down here.
I know, but here's what I do think it's fair, though. No one's watched him down here for 7 years, but there has been great comfort in him being able to play knowing no one's watching him for 7 years. That booed your first time out. Look, man, he overcame something very few players have. He got hit in the face, his face exploded, and he came back in a way that was MVP of the league. No one's ever done that before. That
Correct.
Combination of things. And to bounce back from that would require great mental resiliency when you've heard him tell the stories, right? You remember him telling the stories here on this show about there were times after I got my face shattered that I would hear the mitt and the ball had been pitched and I never saw it.
Right.
I never saw it.
Yes.
So that's what he was coming back from. I just don't know what the mental stuff does to you in New York. You know, some people can't play there. Ed Whitson couldn't play there. It's a long time ago since there's been a player who was viewed as not being able to handle the New York pressure. Thank you, Roy, for laughing at the name Ed Whitson. Yes.
I mean, it's funny on so many levels.
Yes,
man.
Google shirtless Ed Whitson Braves brawl.
I don't think Ed Whitson had the expectations that Giancarlo Stanton had.
Well, he was their big free agent pitcher signing.
Ed Whitson?
Ed Whitson
he was never a big free agent. Dan?
Dan. Let's look it up. We got to look it up. I believe Ed Whitson was a big New York signing.
Stats and Info sent out something. Apparently a bunch of people, big stars, have struggled in their first 10 games playing under those lights. Babe Ruth, Reggie Jackson, Jason Giambi, A-Rod all struggled their first 10 games.
It is. It's a difference to go there with that contract, and it's a lot of fun in the offseason. But then when guys are throwing 95 on the corner or when they're throwing that slider that he can't handle on the outside corner. The thing is, I hesitate to question him because last year at the beginning of the season, I was saying, if you're going to give that kind of money, it has to be to a sure thing.
Right.
And he is a sure thing. He is a sure thing.
He is. Billy's right, though. This is kind of the way, right? Giancarlo Stanton goes through slumps like this, you know, not 16 strikeouts in a week.
You don't want to start there, though.
Right.
It's like you start your first game in Toronto with 2 home runs, and then you come to New York, and your first game in New York, you strike out 5 times and are booed. Like, I'm guessing he would have liked to reverse those 2 things.
I think so, yeah. And the team's 5-5. So you're telling me that Ed Whitson, off the 14-8 season he had for the Padres, his best season he's ever had in the majors, with a 3.24 ERA, not terrible.
Well, wait a minute. 14-8, 3.24. Now you understand why Ed Whitson was their big signing.
Right. Real power pitcher, 103 strikeouts in 190 innings.
Wait a minute. What a jerk. What a jerk. Trying to slander Ed Whitson's 3.24 ERA.
But that was with San Diego. The next year, the Yankees did indeed sign him. You're telling me he made bank off of that one good year with San Diego?
Yes.
And there were expectations?
Yes, there were expectations for Ed Whitson. I don't know if he was ace of the staff or not, but there were expectations.
He signed a 5-year, by the way, major investment at the time.
That's a huge
5-year, $4.4 million.
Whoa.
No, but that's what Canseco was making back then.
Right. This is back in 1986, so that's a lot of money back then. You're right. You're right. They went all in on Ed Whitson.
The Yankees went all in. 5 years, $5 million on Ed Whitson. Busted the bank, and the bank is broken. Didn't he shoot them a bird coming off the mound? Who are the famous people who have struggled in New York? Because New York has this reputation of swallowing baseball players because of the pressure, but the only two I can think of are Hideki Arabu and Ed Whitson. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. But for a 20-year period, the Yankees were signing all the free agents, so there have to be more.
Bad contracts? They signed Carl Pavano, who pitched like 3 games for them in like 5 years, didn't he?
He didn't pitch very much for them, but I'm talking about guys who are viewed as not being able to handle the pressure. I think Pavano might have been fallen into that category as well, or gotten smeared by some of that. What do you imagine are the practical applications of the differences, Stugotz, between playing for the Marlins and playing for the Yankees? Just the very idea that you're in a batter's box. The batter's box is the same everywhere you go. The pitchers are the same. What do you imagine is the difference trying to hit a baseball in New York versus trying to hit a baseball in Miami?
I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like there's really much of a difference. Do you?
Well, I think when you're booed after 5 strikeouts in your opening game, it would be pretty human.
Right.
To be nervous in your first game at home, and then it would be pretty human to start thinking. Now, thinking gets in the way of hitting.
It does, yeah. There's a mental element to it, much like golf. But with Stanton, I mean, it's a little bit too early, right? Like, I realize I'm the guy who will panic after a couple of games, but it's a bit too early. Like,
it is too early,
it's a terrible week. But
it's too early, but New York is doing it. Like, New York's the one that booed him first game. It wasn't us.
Well, it's the combination of his play and the fact that they're losing baseball games. I mean, if they were winning all these games, you still think he'd be getting booed? If they were winning all these games.
5 strikeouts. They booed him in the first game, Stugotz. They booed him in the first game.
But the second game there, though, he hit a home run, and they were all cheering. If he hits 2 home runs, they're going to love him again. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like me. It's like a stadium full of me's. Like, I was booing him at Marlins Park, but I was the only one. And then when he hit a home run, I was, like, dancing. It's a stadium full of people like me. It's insane.
A stadium full of people like you is not good.
April's always his worst month. Like, Billy's right. They just don't know. No one's seen him play.
Well, even if they know, they don't care up there. Like, I think that's maybe the big difference. They probably know that he struggles in the first month. At least a portion of the fan base knows that. They don't care. You're playing for the Yankees now. You're in Yankee Stadium. You got Aaron Judge. I would be a little upset that he has no protection. I mean, Aaron Judge has Stanton as protection. You know who Stanton has? Neil bleeping Walker.
They walked Judge yesterday to get the Stanton.
Exactly.
I'm feeling bad. What do you mean exactly? I don't think
exactly work out.
I don't think that's your point. What do you mean exactly?
Hey, listen, it didn't work out, but it felt like it needed to be hammer home with an exactly, and that's what I did. But it made no sense.
It didn't make any. Yeah.
Oh man.
Who's protecting Bohr? Because Bohr was actually good protection for Stanton. Left side of the plate. They eventually batted Stanton number 2. Who is the protection right now for Bohr? Is Bohr going to end up getting a lot of walks because that Angels prospect has more homers than the Marlins do this season? How do we pronounce his name? Ohtani?
Yeah.
Ohtani?
Ohtani? Yeah, it's a fine. Oh,
it can't be a fine when I'm asking the question.
It's fair. Well, now
everyone retreated. Everyone jumped out of the shadows. Fine. And then I'm like, but I was asking a question. And then everyone retreated.
Well, it seems like a loophole that you have created, which I'm happy about. I simply ask things on the front end.
No. But the point is.
Hey, Dan, can I cough up phlegm into the microphone?
No is the answer.
Anderson's hitting after Bohr, which, by the way, Bohr doesn't need much protection. He's hitting 182. Just go right after Bohr. He's not going to hit the ball. Did you see what happened on Saturday? Oh, my God, this team, Dan. This team. You know what I'm mad about? Uh-oh. Everybody came after me saying this was a nice little team. And everyone was coming after me when I was crushing them, saying, give them a chance. So what did I do? I gave them a week. And I was like, you know what? There's some potential here. And then Chris Cody was the one who was like, oh, watch them play before you get mad at them. Chris Cody's watched maybe one game, if even that. He's not watching on this team that he had so much patience for. He doesn't care. He's checked out. I was in it. I was in it for the long haul with this team. And I made it a week. I tried. And then Don Mattingly did Don Mattingly things, and he was making bad calls with pinch runners. I told you, when a Rivera's on the bench, you got to pinch run a Rivera for a bore. We would have ended that game a lot sooner. He cost us that game. They've only won 3 games this year. 20-1 they lost on Saturday. Do you know who their best pitcher was on Saturday, Dan? Do you know who their best pitcher was on Saturday? Their catcher. 1, 2, 3 inning, and he struck someone out. How does that happen? They were hitting everybody that day.
It was 17-1 in the 4th inning. Against the Phillies. Like, it's not
even a good team.
No, it's against the Phillies can rake, though. Phillies got some people in the middle of their order.
Well, if they're playing against us, batting practice.
Big bounce back win yesterday, though.
Huge,
big
yes.
bounce back.
Yeah, very big. But you're right in the hunt. I mean,
we did get to Jake Arrieta. That's
What are they, just 2 out of the wild card?
4.5 out in the division. I'm not worried about the wild card yet. I mean,
they may be out of contention.
By the way, Mike Ryan, that fraud, I don't know why he's not here today, whether he's trying to scrub off WrestleMania or he's just frustrated because he was so wrong about the Panthers. This was the year. Panthers, same bleep and bleep. This is the... What are you guys laughing about?
Guillermo, I don't know why you did a private show. I said they're 4 back in the NL East. Guillermo said there's 7 in.
No, they were mathematically eliminated during that 20-1 game.
Listen, good news here, though. Just 2 out of the wild card spot. 19 teams to climb over.
Did you see what the Marlins official account tweeted out after their 20-1 loss? Just an FYI, we're not the first team to allow this many runs in a game. The Marlins gave up 25 runs in 2003. That turned out okay.
They need to delete that account. Just shut up. They need to delete that account.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Do the Marlins need to delete that account?
Whoever runs that social media, by the way, I'm on to them, okay? Because I tweet about the Marlins all the time, and I at the Marlins, and they're liking everybody's everything that says anything about them. But they don't like my stuff. But they'll like comments to things that I said. So, like, I'll tweet something, and then someone will comment on it, and they'll like the comment. They're avoiding me, and I don't know why. I don't know why the Marlins aren't more grateful for me, to be honest with you. So many people
You're
left.
the most negative public voice in Miami regarding that. Well, who is more negative?
I'm the most fair person in Miami when it comes to this team.
Okay, but who is more negative than you are?
Dan, there's no one that talks about the Marlins and gives them more publicity than this show in this town. Yes or no?
I love it.
Yes or no? Maybe Andy Slater. But aside from that, yes or no?
How about Mish?
I mean, do we really talk that much Marlins? Aren't there other shows that talk Marlins? I don't feel like we talk that much Marlins.
We talk a lot more than everyone else. Everyone else is talking about the Heat all day, every day. Heat.
No, look,
and we were talking about the Marlins.
Wait. Bryce Harper's got 6 home runs. Remember when Stugotz said he was no good at baseball?
Yeah. Still not sure he is. Do it in the postseason. Oh, he's done it in the postseason. Win a World Series.
We talk Marlins like what? One segment in the local hour twice a week?
He knows that his fame has come, at least in part. Billy's expanding fame has come in part from being the new Marlins man. Now that Marlins man is a free agent, you now, Guillermo, put it on the poll. Should I be, signed by you, should I be the new Marlins man now that Marlins man is a free agent?
What does that mean? Like, I'm supposed to go in orange to games?
Right.
And
you're going to be the mascot, the fan mascot for the Marlins.
No, I'm not a mascot. I'm not a puppet. I call it like I see it, Dan, and that's too much for this team. They want blind support. I was so mad at Samson the other day when he was like critical of how we cover the Marlins because I don't think it's fair. What do we owe this team? Nothing. Why should we be cheering them on? They've done nothing for us. They deserve the criticism that they get.
I would agree. I would agree that this franchise has earned all your anger and cynicism. But what Derek Jeter is saying, hey, I'm not responsible for that. I didn't build any of that. Can I get some support on the front end? And if your answer is no.
This is what I tell Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter, I'll give you money and I'll invest my money when you're investing your money. Right now, he's not investing his money. He's cutting spending. So I'll give you money when you put money into the team. And I think that that's fair.
Well, he put $25 million in, didn't he?
Please. I'm saying spending money on payroll because they have more. It's a part of it's bad contracts, but they have more money not playing than they have money playing on this team.
Well, but that's not his fault.
Right.
That's not his fault.
But there's plenty of free agents out there that they could get to make this a respectable team. There's still pitching out there. There's still hitting out there that they could get. And
Joey Bats is still
That's
out
what
there.
Lauria did. He saw shiny things every offseason. You don't just throw money at like Jake Arrieta because he's out there. He's like old. You wait until you get guys that you really can grow with.
No, but until that time comes, you can develop the team the way they're doing. But Mish, who Stugotz mentioned before, R.A. Dickey's out there. He eats innings. They can get him to. They can get
R.A.
him to
Dickey,
eat,
man.
They can get him to eat innings.
Man, listen.
Yes or no?
He does. He
and save
eats
the bullpen.
innings, man. He does.
Guillermo,
And there's bats out there.
Guillermo,
there's pieces out there.
What you're saying is factually so.
Yeah.
I also want you to put this on the poll. Is your baseball team crawling through sewage in hell if it utters the sentence, R.A. Dickey is still out there?
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, Stugotz, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
My mom, first visit, worried about her son, comes in the Worcester, which is the armpit of America. And within 5 minutes, a SWAT team rolls up. We think it's for my house. It's for the house next door. It's a crack house, and my mom wanted to bring me home.
A what team?
SWAT team. Is that what you call it? SWAT team? I don't know.
Stugotz.
They had big guns.
Wait a minute.
And a lot of armor.
You think that the team that storms into your house and knocks over the door wearing uniforms as law enforcement, you have thought all your life that that's a SWAT team?
They squatted.
The people in the house.
The people in the house were squatting.
No, they came in with like guns blazing and they had their armor on and they all like got in the shooting position and they were squatting.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
So can we go through the schedule? Can we do the sports radio show of what do you want to happen here over the next couple of games with the Miami Heat? You've got them tied with Milwaukee at the 6th. There are 2 games left. Are those both home games for the Heat, Monday and Wednesday?
Oh, I'll check on it right now. I think they are. Yeah.
So if you went out, you get the 6, and right now you got Philadelphia at the 3. I don't know what LeBron is doing with the 4. What do you think, LeBron? You think LeBron over the next couple of games does a little bit of a dance to get away from the Miami Heat?
The next 2 are home games, Oklahoma City and Toronto. Toronto really not much to play for.
I don't trust the Heat against much of anybody. I mean, they lost to the Nets at home the other day. Those are 2 difficult games for the Heat, whether they're playing at home or not. If you look at the Heat's point differential, they are a 500 team.
Right.
That's what they are. They don't even score 1 point a game more than their opponents.
I think, Dan, it's fairly obvious, is it not? Like, you want to line yourself up to play the Celtics. I know Heat fans are going to say, hey, go and win those last 2 games, but I'd rather have the Celtics with no Kyrie Irving, with no Gordon Hayward, with a bunch of guys who have no experience in the playoffs than the Sixers team, and they're not experienced as well, but they're better. They're more talented. Their stars are going to be healthy. Ben Simmons is healthy, and Embiid will be back for the postseason. I mean, that's the way you should try to line it up.
Boston is where you need to go. Kyrie's out. Gordon Hayward's out. Like, if you can't beat that team, it's really, I believe, the only chance the Heat have to actually advance. And I still don't like their chances to advance because Boston's been damn good. Boston, I think, is them. Boston has been them with a star.
Right. That's a great point. Yes, you take Kyrie away from the Celtics. The Celtics are the Heat.
I think so, but I think the best chance the Heat have of the 4, that's the one that I would want.
They don't have a real chance though this year. We want a fun series against LeBron. Mm-hmm. Let's just have that.
You just want that?
Yeah, it'd be so much fun.
Can you get there? I mean, they're at the 4 right now.
Oh no, yeah, the Heat right now are tied. All that would have to happen is you can go 6-3.
Well, Cleveland, the Cavs need to get to the 3. That's it. It's the only way it can happen.
I know, but they're right there. 6. They're right there. What are they, half a game behind Philadelphia?
They're a game back of Philly.
And they have 2 against the Knicks.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So LeBron can do whatever he wants with those games.
LeBron can always do whatever he wants. Have you not caught on to that yet?
Right.
He runs the league, Dan, if not the world. He's always doing whatever he wants. The fact that you're doing this show right now is because LeBron wants you to do this show right now.
Yeah.
Do you not get that?
I was talking Marlins.
What'd you do this weekend?
Talked and thought about LeBron.
Yeah, because he wanted you to.
Exactly. Yep.
Talked about and thought about LeBron. That's what I did this weekend.
Philly's at Atlanta, home with Milwaukee.
We can all agree, though, he doesn't want any part of the Heat.
We'll find out what he wants.
No, we can't all agree on that?
Well, we'll find out. Yeah. If he wants the Heat, then he'll go out and they'll win these next two games.
I feel like you guys in that room, and if you want to call Mike Ryan, you guys can all agree on that. If you want to call Mike Ryan at WrestleMania right now and have all of you agree on that, we can all agree on that. But that room thinks one thing, and this room thinks something else. I don't think that LeBron minds much playing against the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat don't have a star.
I don't know.
No upside for him. And
the Cavs
Dan, the only way he wins is by winning. And not winning in 7, like winning in 4.
Well, the only way he wins publicly is by winning. The only way he wins the way he wants to is by losing. He's trying to leave. We know that. So he has to lose. Yep. So this is a win-lose, lose-win situation.
That'd be pretty funny. That'd be pretty cool because I keep expecting one of these disasters to end up with LeBron not making the finals.
Not
right?
this year.
One of these last stop. I'm going to screw everything up. I'm done here. I've checked out emotionally on this relationship.
Right. The only way they don't get to the finals if he doesn't feel like getting to the finals. It's up to him. I mean, it really is. Guillermo's right. I mean, he controls his destiny. He controls mine. He controls yours. He controls everyone's. It's amazing. I have an update on Ed Whitson.
All right, put it on the poll there, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Does LeBron control everybody's destiny?
It was not Ed Whitson who flipped off Yankee fans after a bad start. It was another Yankee star who they brought in, signed to a mega contract. It was Jack McDowell, Black Jack.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, flipped off Yankee fans.
I mean, what is it? Can someone explain this to me? I'd like to understand it. What is it about 80s and 90s baseball players that delights us that way? The smile that came over Roy's face with Jack McDowell, Black Jack McDowell. There's something about 90s baseball players. I don't understand it. They get a grip on you and they don't let go.
Brings us back to a better time? I don't know. I mean...
So Mike Ryan is there. We'll check with him periodically to get WrestleMania updates. He's polluted. Do you guys? So you want to ask your question again, Chris? Do you want to you want to ask the question again?
Well, I was just saying out loud that we can all agree LeBron doesn't want none of this.
Mike?
Oh, no. Yeah, no way. No way. No way. LeBron doesn't want any of that. LeBron doesn't want us at all. At all. At all. At all. You hear that sound right now? If you're silent for just a half second. You can literally hear LeBron shaking in his boots.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing.
Why is he wearing boots?
I don't know. It's odd.
He's got some new boots coming out.
Because he wants to wear them.
Yeah. He's trying to sell some Nike boots.
Watch.
He could beat the Heat. Put that on the poll. Would LeBron beat the Heat in Nike boots? Timberland.
Just LeBron or all the Cavs?
Just him.
Okay.
Did we wake you up? Did we wake you up?
Yeah, you did.
All right. So do you want to give us your best minute of Heat stuff, or do you want to just go? You want to hang up and go?
I haven't paid attention to the Miami Heat since I think they beat Atlanta, right?
Okay, very good.
So you want to sleep?
Just hang up on Mike. Just hang up on Mike. We'll check in with him later get some WrestleMania updates.
I don't think he wants us to check in with him later.
He is in New Orleans at WrestleMania. He won a big betting on an American.
Listen, I can't predict this, but if LeBron wants us to check in with Mike Ryan later on, we will. And if he doesn't, then we won't.
Okay. All right. So you got 2 Heat games left.
Exciting.
OKC and Toronto. And all of you want to be the 6? Because the 6 gets you Philadelphia or Cleveland. The 7 gets you Boston.
I want the 7. I want the 7. I mean, the point of the playoffs is not to have a fun series against LeBron James. It's get a good matchup and see if you can advance. I think it'd be fun if the Heat could advance to an Eastern Conference semifinal, and then we'll see what happens from there. I mean, or LeBron will see.
It is an interesting question from a sports fan's perspective or a Miami Heat fan's perspective, because which is it that you want? Do you want the story and the loss? Or do you just want the win? Because Chris is right. I mean, that place will be shaking for 3 playoff games.
No doubt.
If Cleveland, Miami gets extended.
It'll be shaking if they come back 1-1 against Boston with a home game.
Less so. Less, right? We can agree that Miami playing against Boston does not feel the same. Look, man, we're a star town. If LeBron rolls back through here, it'll feel like 2010 through 2014. And Boston can't recreate that. And nobody can, really. Nobody can. Golden State can't recreate it. Nobody can. There's only one dude. That's why he controls everybody's destiny. There's only one dude who comes back to Miami, and all of a sudden that's a tough ticket to get. Right, Stugotz?
Yes.
One playoff game that brings a tough ticket to get, and it's that dude.
What do you think the Heat want? Like the Heat, the people who run the Heat. Because you're right. What you're saying about LeBron is...
How could you not want Boston? How could you not want Boston? You're not going to beat LeBron James with no stars, man.
Right. And you're getting sellouts either way. Different buzz, but you're getting sellouts either way.
Imagine if they win one of those games in Cleveland, and we're coming back with a chance.
What if you get, though, the Celtics in the first round, and you beat them? And then you get an inexperienced Sixers team in the second round, because I think that's the way it would play out.
And get swept.
And you beat them. And then all of a sudden, that series you wanted in the first round, you now get it in the Eastern Conference Finals. How about that?
Oh, for the love of God. I mean,
dream big, Dan.
You know what? I'm in with that.
That's
do
having
that.
your cake and eating it too, Dan. That's possible. You can do that. Let's do that.
And then LeBron, because he wants to come back here next year, he decides, you know what? I am going to lose to the Heat. How about that? Because he wants to come back, and he takes his jersey off with 18 seconds to go.
How about that?
It's amazing. The story keeps getting better.
You hit him with another, how about that?
They get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and LeBron decides, you know what? This is the perfect place to leave.
Are you bleeping kidding me?
Yeah, he takes the jersey off 18 seconds to go in the elimination game and walks to the Heat locker room.
He just goes straight there. He's done.
All right, Mike's there. Stu, tell him what we're doing.
Mike, here's what we're discussing, okay? You could have LeBron in the first round of the playoffs, which I disagree with. I don't want that. Or you could have LeBron, okay, Mike, hear me out here. You get the Celtics in the first round. You upset them. You get an inexperienced Sixers team in the Eastern Conference semifinals. You beat them in 6 or 7 games. And then you get an Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James, in which... Because LeBron's a free agent year, he wants to go back to Miami. This is a perfect place to lose. He takes his jersey off, elimination game, 16 seconds to go, and walks straight to the Heat locker room. How you feel about that?
Oh, that is hot. Oh man.
Yeah?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I am so...
Just go to commercial.
Sometimes it's hard to find a satisfying vape that's simple and convenient. Blue, who introduced vaping to the world, is now introducing My Blue. My Blue gives you all the satisfaction with none of the hassle. Just click and go. With My Blue's easy-to-use one...
Dan Le Batard. To announce that they have podcasts now, Spotify is saying you can listen to the Dan Le Batard show here. We're one of the very few shows that they're doing this. It's very cool. And they came up with a really cool marketing slogan for our show. Big stats. Loud hats.
What is that?
I think it's something that you should sign off segments with.
Big stats. Loud hats.
Yes.
And then it ends that way?
Yeah.
I don't like big stats, loud hats. What is that's not our show?
Well, the loud hats are.
Stugotz.
Big fats.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's so much better. Why are we not doing that with Spotify?
Big fats, loud hats, and then what do we do?
No, then you just go to commercial.
Yeah, we stare at each other awkwardly and end the segment.
Big stats!
Big fats!
This is the Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
Because LeBron does indeed control all, ESPN has sent out some fresh quotes from Pat Riley on LeBron's time in Miami and his departure. This is a piece from Jackie McMullen, who looks like your mom's friend Carol. And it's from Ian Thompson's new book, The Soul of Basketball, the epic showdown between LeBron, Kobe, Doc, and Dirk that saved the NBA. The book is coming out this month. And among the things that Riley is talking about, the early frustration between LeBron, Wade, and Bosh with Eric Spoelstra in 2010, LeBron's departure from Cleveland to Miami, and Riley's disappointment when LeBron went back to Cleveland in 2004. How much of this do you want, Stugotz?
All of it.
Okay, here we go then. I will just read, as sent out by ESPN, some highlights. Riley says in November 2010, in a meeting with James, Bosh, and Wade to discuss the season, they just said, we're not feeling it or something like that. We talked about the typical things that we have to do, have patience and all of that stuff. And I remember LeBron looking at me and he said, don't you ever get the itch? I said, the itch for what? He said, the itch to coach again. I said, no, I don't have the itch. He didn't ask any more questions and I didn't offer any more answers, but I know what it meant. And I always go back and wonder about what he was thinking at that time. He walked out scratching his leg like it was itching.
Wow.
Don't you ever get the itch? I mean, that's not entirely true, right? We still got these basketball lifers like Kupchak bouncing around. Riley got the itch to go back to the Lakers, and that's how Shaq ended up here.
Right.
Like that was the thing that was happening. Riley was talking to the Lakers about other things. The wine gets broken out, and then next thing you know, Kupchak or whomever is saying, yeah, maybe we'll send you Shaq. Maybe we'll send you Shaq.
Right. But I read that as essentially as LeBron asking Riley to come coach the team. That's how I read that, you know? Mm-hmm. And being concerned when Riley's like, no, like LeBron's thinking, hey, you got the three of us here. You're the guy I want coaching the team. You're the legend. Like, let's go. And Riley's saying no. And then LeBron's walking out, scratching his leg.
Some more quotes here from Riley. They wanted to know what was going to happen with Eric. They wondered if I was going to be coaching. I said, look, Eric is the head coach. That's it. I support him. I'm not interested in coaching. Riley admits he was angry. Very few people know exactly how angry he was. Admits he was angry in 2004 when LeBron bolted from Miami to return to Cleveland as a free agent.
Can we stop for a second? I'm dissecting this. This is amazing and fascinating. They. That would suggest that Wade was kind of poking around the Riley coaching as well. Spoelstra's good buddy. They.
2014, not 2004. Yeah, it's fine.
Ooh.
Another tidbit from this. Quote, I had 2 to 3 days of tremendous anger. I was absolutely livid, which I expressed to myself and my closest friends. Then, Ian Thompson writes, over the weeks and months to come, Riley came to see the move to Cleveland from LeBron's point of view. Quote, my beautiful plan all of a sudden came crashing down, Riley said. That team in 10 years could have won 5 or 6 championships, but I get it. I get the whole chronicle of LeBron's life. While there may have been some carnage always left behind when he made these kinds of moves in Cleveland and also in Miami, he did the right thing. I just finally came to accept the realization that he and his family said, you'll never, ever be accepted back in your hometown if you don't go back to try to win a title. Otherwise, someday you'll go back there and have the scarlet letter on your back. You'll be the greatest player in the history of mankind, but back there, nobody's really going to accept you. That took Riley a long time to come to terms with. He did get there. He was rooting for, that was legit. He was rooting for LeBron in those finals, but it took him a lot more than a couple of days.
Okay.
To get through how angry he was when LeBron James left. Riley said that after James left, he had no contact with him until the 2016 NBA Finals when Cleveland played the Golden State Warriors in Game 7. Riley says it was then he finally reached out. Quote, I didn't want to send him anything that he could read before he hit the floor. As soon as he hit the floor, I sent a text to him. I said, win this and be free. He never got back to me with a response. In fact, he said something after the game. Now, he doesn't do much of this. And Riley doing some of this publicly, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the same place you're going to jump to. I don't know why Riley has decided to do this, but the idea that Riley would never come forth with the public anger, but now comes forth with the public idea of, hey, we're good now. That's probably not a coincidence, right?
What, that LeBron's a free agent?
That LeBron's about to become a free agent, and there are teams in the East that he's going to want to join, and there are going to be teams in the East that need these. Look, man, at Wade's wedding, it was ice between LeBron and Riley. LeBron was deeply uncomfortable at that wedding in Miami. Wade and his wife, get that palace in the what was that? What were the details on it? They got some palace. somewhere.
It had like a moat around it.
Yeah, it was something crazy like that.
I'm checking it out. Yeah.
And it was ice, man, between LeBron and, I mean, Harrison tried, but it was ice between LeBron and Riley. And LeBron
what do you mean Mickey tried? Like he tried to
LeBron didn't want to be a part of whatever it is that was going on over there. He wanted to be there for Dwayne Wade. Imagine what an awkward situation that is. How crazy is that? Like, what an awkward room. You got livid Riley. Like, Riley was mad. You got livid Riley thinking that you bleeped him at the end with lies and disrespect.
Right.
Flying him across the country as a pawn.
That's a tricky situation because Riley walks up to the bar and sees LeBron's in line at that bar, and he probably goes to find another bar, right? And then LeBron's doing the same thing. Like, Riley's on the dance floor. No, we can't go now. Riley's out there. Like, that is a tense situation.
That thing was in a castle. I feel like there was thousands of people there. Like, they could have easily not seen each other, right?
Yeah.
Unless they wanted to see each other.
No, that's not what happened. There was no easily not seeing each other.
I don't know about that, Dan.
Okay, very good.
$11 million castle. I mean, jeez.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're right.
There's a moat.
Look, I don't have many sources, but I got some. I'm not Jay Glazer. I'm not a reporter, but what I'm telling you is when it's not an opinion, when I'm reporting something, I'm not doing it flippantly. Like that wedding was ice. There was ice all over the place.
Not so sure. You mean like ice sculptures with like the vodka coming down, and is that what was separating those two?
Is that the exact quote you got? It was ice.
Ice.
Maybe you misunderstood. Yeah, maybe they're talking about the ice sculptures.
Yeah, maybe.
You know they had opera glasses there?
Opera glasses.
For what? Was there an opera?
I don't know. Wade's wedding. Live chickens. 5 wardrobe changes. I mean, honestly.
For him or Gavin?
5.
Him. He had 5 wardrobe
for
changes.
both of them.
Oh, Allison said she had 3 and Wade had 5.
It's fine.
Descending wooden planks of food. That's cool.
See, that's what I'm saying. I have a question, not to take away from this wedding for a minute.
I think you are.
What do you think he has to do when he gets LeBron in a room? Because the ring trick's not going to work anymore. He's seen that trick a couple times. And he's been to weddings where wooden planks are coming down with food. So you need to do something to wow LeBron, right? What would it be? Because LeBron has how many rings now? 3 rings himself.
Yeah, yes, 3.
So the rings are not going to impress him. What do you do? How do you court LeBron, Dan? What do you do?
It's a good question.
You put these quotes out there that say that you're good with LeBron now and that you're happy for him and that you understand why he had to go home.
No, you need more than that.
Yeah, you do.
Mickey needs to give him a cruise ship.
You give him the official title, player GM.
Ooh, I like that. I do that. You in on that?
We're back there again. We're back there. We did this show in 2010. Remember, we made Maverick Carter the coach in exchange for LeBron comes down and plays here.
Yeah, but
we did this show 8 years ago.
The amazing thing about LeBron is 8 years later, he's still the best player in the game.
That is fairly amazing. And we could do it again because I'd make Mav Carter the coach again.
Yep.
Oh, my God. What, are you kidding me? Seriously.
Just please come back.
Seriously.
Please.
It's so much fun.
I would allow him and Mav Carter to coach the team. Just do whatever you want.
Yep.
It's better than what they have now.
LeBron's better than the Heat without LeBron, is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is
LeBron as player coach.
I'm saying LeBron, any situation with LeBron in it is better than the situation they presently have.
True. What happens to Spo, though? Like where?
Well, my father, you know what my father's been saying lately? Because it's not just, because I say, Poppy, please stop firing Spoelstra everywhere. You don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, I don't want to fire him. I want to promote him. I want to kick him upstairs. He's got a family now, more mouths to feed. Give him a little more money.
It's a good play.
Yeah.
Less stress, less travel. He gets to see his kids grow up. That's a good move by Poppy.
It's been so funny to listen to both my father and my mother. They've fallen in love with this team. This team. They've fallen in love with, and it is so funny to hear them criticize the coaching with things like, now the sports radio caller, is the baby keeping him up at night?
Wow. That is a good question, though. Does he look more tired?
Right. Did what happened at the end of the Nets game? Was that the baby's fault? Put it on the poll, Allison. What happened at the end? What happened at the end of the Nets game? Was that the baby's fault?
He could have timed it, right? Like 2 months later, so that the baby would.
Those things sometimes you can't time them, Guillermo. It's like baseball. It comes without a clock.
Yep.
Oh, that's a dangerous sentence for a lot of reasons. No, I said comes without a clock. You heard me correct.
You were fine.
I'm just saying it's dangerous.
You're good, man. So this is interesting. LeBron GM, Mav coach. I think I'm good with all of this.
What do you think of these quotes? Again, this is ESPN. This is a piece from Jackie McMullen, and it's Ian Thompson's new book, The Soul of Basketball, the epic showdown between LeBron, Kobe, Doc, and Dirk that saved the NBA. What's the most interesting takeaway from what I read to you? That Wade, Bosh, and LeBron in 2010 sat down with Riley, and there was the suggestion that there was a coup in play?
Yeah, the overall, all of it is fascinating from the standpoint that you pointed out, and that the timing of this is interesting, that LeBron's going to be a free agent. Riley finally is talking about how he felt after LeBron left, and some of the stuff that happened while he was there. But yes, that quote where they say, we're really not that into it. Don't you ever get the itch?
We're not feeling it.
We're not feeling it.
They just said, we're not feeling it.
Right.
I do love that. I'm going to read it again. This is a meeting in 2010, Wade, Bosh, and LeBron.
I mean, what they're saying is we're not feeling Spo.
They just said, we're not feeling it or something like that. We talked about the typical things that we have to do, have patience and all that stuff. And I remember LeBron looking at me and he said, don't you ever get the itch? I said, the itch for what? He said, the itch to coach again. I said, no, I don't have the itch. He didn't ask any more questions and I didn't offer any more answers, but I know what it meant. And I always go back and wonder what he was thinking at that time. He walked out scratching his leg like it was itching.
Maybe that's what he was talking about, the itch on his leg.
He could be. He could mean like the itch for something new, as opposed to
No, but 2010. I think they're making clear. They're making clear that in 2010 there was a meeting. My guess is it happened when they were 9-8, when the season started, and everything was shaking. Everything was shaking. The games had unreasonable pressure on them. They looked like they were
their legs
a mess. Their legs were shaking and itching.
Yeah.
I didn't find first of all, that does sound like, is that not most passive aggressive LeBron? Like leaving Riley's office, scratching his leg to give him the code
right.
for, right, the code.
Itchy.
But that's not the interesting part of the quote to me. The part that's interesting to me is, but I know what it meant, meaning he knows that those guys were asking him if he would coach. And I always go back and wonder about what he was thinking at that time. Man, I wonder if he goes back and thinks about what would have happened if he'd said yes.
If LeBron's still here?
If Riley had said yes.
Right. Would that mean LeBron's still here?
That's what it makes me think. When I read that sentence, but I know what it meant, and I always go back and wonder about what he was thinking at that time. He puts it on LeBron. I wonder what Pat Riley was thinking about that time, and I wonder what Pat Riley is thinking now about that time. How does it play out differently? Because he came back in 2000. You remember, right?
Yep.
Savior in 2006 comes down, replaces Stan Van Gundy, does the job correctly. Goes back into the shadows. Can end his career right there.
It had to be tempting for Riley. Like when LeBron, Wade, and Bosh are coming at you with, don't you ever get the itch? That has to, for a competitor like Riley, who wants championships, who cares about the legacy, that had to be now listen, according to what he said, it was very quick. No, Spo's the coach. That's it. But he had to be tempted, man. To be able to coach that team.
You can't do that again if you're Riley, though. You already have the stain, the quote unquote stain, the Van Gundys.
Right.
You don't have a great relationship with them because of everything that happened in 2006.
Right. But if you feel like, I'm just wondering if Riley, there's no way to know that LeBron's going to leave after 4 years at that moment, right? But if Riley felt in that moment, hey, this probably gives me the best chance of keeping LeBron here past the 4 years. I just wonder if any of that went through his mind.
You can wonder that, but what I'm telling you about this that I find interesting is the idea that 17 games in a season, it's easy to look back now.
Right.
And say, that's an interesting choice that Riley had to make. But when you're in it, Stugotz, really? After 17 games, they were going to pull the plug on Spoelstra? Do you realize how crazy that would have been? After 17 games think about OKC. They're spending their whole season trying to figure it out with what are final pieces for a 1-year run, right? OKC is trying to figure this whole thing out with Melo, with Paul George, with Russell Westbrook. They're trying to do it in real time, and they have a 1-year window. It's not a 4-year window. It's a 1-year window. They didn't bang the coach after 17 games. You can't bleep and blow out Spoelstra and put Riley in after 17 games.
They don't have Riley sitting there in the in the front office. They don't have a legendary coach like Riley just sitting around.
You think that would have ended well, though? Like if Riley was the coach? Because this guy's played for 6 coaches, and he tried to get Spo fired. That wouldn't have ended well. They both have big egos, right?
Yeah, they do have both. They do both have.
So how would that have worked out? Mm-hmm. As soon as he would have gotten mad at Riley, he would have wanted Riley gone.
I don't think they knew what they were asking for. Wade did. I don't think the other 2 guys knew what they were asking for when they asked for Riley to come back. Riley comes from, dude, the union won't even allow some of the stuff Riley was doing during the dinosaur bone days. Like all that stuff about fining players if they help an opponent up.
You think Wade was playing defense against LeBron because he didn't want Riley to come back as coach? Like behind the scenes? Nah, I don't want to run like that.
No, Wade was scratching the itch on LeBron's leg for him. Like, shh. That he's.
So this was right after the Dallas. You said 17 games.
Oh, no. I'm guessing that's when it was. It doesn't say. It doesn't say when it was. It just said in November. Well, actually, it does say November 2010. So that is, that's November 2010 is where they started. They started 9-8.
All right. So they reeled off, I think, 12 straight after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they were a good deal better than everyone else. We just didn't know it quite that way at the time, which is why the 3 guys went into a meeting with Riley and were like, this coach thing, we're not feeling it so much. This was supposed to be easier. You remember that parade thing we did? We danced around, or not the parade, the rock concert.
I'll take it out further. They won 21 of 22 after that meeting.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's right. If they just started that way, we would have never had any of these stories. If they just come out of the box 21 and 22, but no, it was 9-8. And my guess is that meeting is sometime after LeBron stopped scratching his leg and just bumped into Eric Spoelstra during a timeout.
Next, you're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie, this does look fun. Whee! You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.